First of all, here's the upfront conclusion. Yes, you should definitely buy this mic over the Rode Video Micro or the Rode NTG3 or even my favorite, the Rode NTG5. If that's all what you wanted to know, then that's it. But if you want to know why, then watch the rest of the video. So if you're somebody who's creating video content like me, then remember this, that people might still watch your videos if the video quality isn't that good, but they won't watch your videos if the audio is bad. Hey fam, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Suleiman. I'm a United Nations awarded writer, son of 2 photographers, and an MBA from Starlight Business School, which boasts itself to be one of the top 100 MBAs in the world. I research new tech for a living, and I create content around creating content. So if this is something that you like, make sure to subscribe. Now, first of all, I'll explain each button of the mic in detail, because usually when people see a mic with buttons and lights, they feel overwhelmed. So let's take that away first. So I'm cheating in this video by having two things already on. The first is the 75 Hz high pass filter, and the second is the presence boost. So let me explain that first. The first is the presence boost. You press and hold the top button to engage it. This is the very reason I bought this mic. This function gives more highs or more clarity to a warmer sound, something like mine. This gives or adds that extra punch or that extra to your sound. This helps sound the S's and the T's more obvious, because I've heard myself, and in my videos, I don't sound that clear. So if you're somebody who's suffering from something like this, then this mic is definitely for you. The next, it has got two high-pass filters. The first cut is the 75 Hz, and the second is the 150 Hz. Now, don't get confused. Just keep the 75 Hz on when you're indoors and 150 on when you're outdoors. What does it do? When you engage the 75 Hz high pass filter, it cuts down the noise which is under 75 Hz. Naturally, anything under 80 Hz is not necessary for the human ear. And that includes, a little bit of rumble from the table or the air conditioner sound. You don't need to hear that in the video. So the next is the peaking indicator. You can see that over here at the bottom of the screen. I'll just bring this up. So if I speak very loud or very close, if I speak very loud, you see the voice is entering into, the red zone. This is where the audio clips. This is where your audio won't be recorded. This is shown in audio meters like this. I'm using the Blackmagic camera app, but there's even a light on this mic which shows you when it peaks. So even if you don't have an audio meter or something digitally that shows you, it can physically show you on the mic. So this is me speaking to you normally, and this is what happens when I engage the -20 dB pad. So now when I speak, my voice is much lower, even though I'm close to it. So now I'm at my normal place, and you can see or notice that the volume is much, much lower. You can look at the volume bars over here. And now if I disengage it, so I'm back to normal. Now you can see the volume is going much more higher than what it normally does. So now you can notice that the volume is back to normal and it's not compressed as it was before. You use it whenever you know that there are going to be much higher sounds going into the mic. Now the next is the safety track feature, which is one of my favorite. Now if I turn this on, now I have turned it on. Now you can notice that when I speak, the left channel records as normal, but the right channel records in 6 decibels lower sound. So in case if by mistake I end up speaking very loud and the audio clips and it's not recorded, then I can always go back to the right channel and take that audio. And this will be a stereo recording because there will be 2 tracks. Now you can mix and match all of these functions. Like for example, you can have the 75 Hz high pass filter on with the presence boost, which I always like to keep on. And then you can have the -20 dB pad engaged, as well as the safety track feature also engaged. So you can mix and match as you like. Now some more interesting features about this mic. So this mic has something called as a universal connection, which means that previously you would have to have different kind of wires. Like for example, if you're connecting it to a phone or an iPad, then you would need a wire like this, which is a TRS to TRRS. And if you're connecting this mic to a camera, then you would need a TRS to TRS, which is not that difficult to understand. It is actually tip, ring, sleeve, TRS, and TRRS, which means a tip, ring, sleeve. But in the case of this mic, you can just plug the wire and it would sense itself that it has it being plugged to a camera or to a mobile device like an iPhone or an iPad or to any other smartphone. It's good to know these details, but why complicate the average user? I mean, they won't know what they're going through and how does the audio work. So this makes it easier for the average user. Next is the auto power on and off feature, which is good. Like for example, in case you forget to power it on, it's good. Whenever you just plug it in, it powers on. And you plug it out, it powers off. So it saves you a ton of battery. Oh, by the way, speaking of battery, it has got 30 hours of continuous battery power. Manual gain control. This is a game changer because when you're recording with your camera, sometimes what happens, or most of the time what happens, is that you would get some internal noise or internal preamps recorded in your audio. So what you can do is that on your camera, you can turn the volume down to the lowest and use the manual gain knob to turn on the volume up to the highest, if you like. Now, why did I choose this mic over the Rode NTG5? Simple, the Rode NTG5 or the NTG3 or any other XLR microphones have an XLR input, which means that I need an extra interface or a device to record the audio. And that's just not practical for my setup. And it adds more friction in the post. So when you record your video and you record your audio separately, in post, you have to sync them up so that you can use them. And then you have a battery for the recorder and you have to make sure the battery doesn't die while you're recording. So it just adds to more friction, and that's something that I don't like. Secondly, this mic gives you 80% of the value with just half the price, 50% of the price of the Rode NTG5. By the way, next point, thirdly, this is an overkill for 95% of the people. With all these rich feature-packed design, I don't think most people need it. Only if you're doing it for professional work, and I do consider YouTube as professional, and if you're using it for making your videos, I think you can't get better than this. Now, why this mic specifically? Because I shoot mostly on my iPhone, and this mic plugs directly into my phone. But it also works with a mirrorless camera. So whenever I upgrade, this mic stays with me. It also has a USB-C connection, so it can work with my iPad, my laptop, with everything. This is one mic that I would need for everything. I can even use it for my podcasts. By the way, I have a podcast. I'll link it somewhere. I can just connect this with a USB-C to my iPad, and the other end, the aux portion, I can just put in my headphones and I can record my podcast anywhere I am. So if anybody is choosing this mic, I would say it's a good buy, because with Rode VideoMic, you get around like 40% of the audio quality. With this mic, you get around 80 to 85, and with Rode NTG5, you reach, let's say, around 90 or 95% of the audio quality, which doesn't make much of a difference. And the functions this mic has are amazing. I mean, you can always choose any mic and work on it in post-production and editing to make it sound much better, but not everything has to be left for post-production. Like, for example, when you take pictures, you can edit them in post, but you need to make sure that when you take the picture, you take it with the right settings and with the right amount of exposure and right amount of everything, so that when you edit it, you can get the best amount of edit. So similarly, this mic helps in that. By the way, this mic is super cardioid, which means that it takes a lot from the front of what is being spoken and very less from the side, and rejects everything from the rear. And one more thing, that it can peak very easily. So it's a good idea to turn on the 20 decibel pad before using this mic so that it won't peak that easily. Hello? Even if I cover myself. Hello? It peaks again. I don't know why. So it's a very sensitive mic. The only solution is turn on the minus 20 dB pad. And now, as high as I speak, it doesn't turn on. It does not peak. And in the end, I would like to say that you only buy a mic once because the technology of microphones isn't that disruptive that it changes every few years. So this mic or any mic that you buy would outlive your life. So don't think of this mic or any mic to be expensive. Invest in quality now and you would thank yourself later. Don't cheap out. And if it was about video quality, I would say, stick to your phone. But for audio, do spend on it. Well, fam, that was all from me. If you have watched this far, be sure to subscribe to this channel. It means a lot to me. And I really appreciate your presence. Thanks for being here, fam. Thank you. Bye-bye.